horses. Boop. Okay. I was thinking it would be nice to be cozy and indoors because it's wet and soggy outside, but it's warm and dry inside. Yeah. I thought we could do a spa wrap. Sex positive adventure with a purpose. I don't know why I'm counting, but sometimes counting can be quite soothing. Oh, it's morning. I forgot to open the blinds a little bit to let some air, some sunlight, in. Yeah. I was thinking, okay, pleasure with a purpose. Pleasure with a purpose. Does pleasure have a purpose? Is pleasure with a purpose, even if it is without a purpose? Am I making sense? I think that pleasure that is aligned with our well-being, I think that that is a purpose. Whereas a lot of, especially porn, is not in alignment with treating people with respect and dignity and showing empathy for how we experience touch. That feels disconnecting. Whereas my intention here is about connecting with ourselves, connecting with our bodies, and when I chose to have this be here as opposed to outside, I was making that decision based on what my body needs in terms of the impact of the recent rain on that environment. And I am grateful to have this space this moment and to have a heart to heart about pleasure and maybe it doesn't need to have a purpose, but maybe showing up for our pleasure is purposeful, that our pleasure is significant, our pleasure is a priority. And I feel like many of us may be disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from our pleasure. I know that I spent so many years trying to please other people, hoping that they would love me, and I disconnected from myself and disconnected from my pleasure in that process. And this is an intentional space to reconnect with ourselves, to practice showing up for ourselves, for our pleasure, and that feels purposeful to me. My hope is for us to connect with ourselves, to connect with our pleasure. Maybe I'm just talking in circles. Maybe circling around our pleasure is something that might be nourishing. I feel like I've spent years spiraling in negativity and criticizing myself and analyzing myself in ways that did not feel nourishing. Today, I want to nourish myself. I want to be intentional with how I speak, with how I move, with how I touch, to change gears and love myself. And I want to invite you to join me, because I know that I'm not alone in these struggles of disconnection and mental health and isolation. I know that these experiences are extremely common. And I want to hold this space for play, for experimenting, for creativity, to try something new. There are so many ways that we can be in our bodies, and sometimes we can become almost mechanical and efficient, and it can be challenging to move our joints in ways that perhaps we haven't done for a while, if we've been moving through our lives efficiently, almost like a robot, as opposed to dancing and sculpting the air into whatever shapes. Feel the flow. I don't know if I'm making sense. I want to invite us to practice loving ourselves. There's probably 100 things that I could say to myself to put myself down. It's probably 10,000 or more. And what can I say instead that's more neutral? I don't really believe that neutral exists, actually, but more positive. To recognize how far I've come to get to this place, as opposed to where perhaps I thought I would be at this point in my life, which is not the case. Yes. Okay. Something that I can say to myself is, I'm proud. I'm proud of you for leaving an environment that wasn't safe and moving to a new place. And it's been a rocky road. And I'm so proud of you. know that it hasn't been easy to do this deep healing work. And it's a big deal to try to heal. And that's probably one of the hardest things in life. And I am so proud of you. For showing up and not letting the negativity run the show anymore. And I understand why that was such a big part of my life for so many years. And letting go of that disappointment and anger and resentment and that feeling betrayed by people who said that they loved us, and their actions speak louder than words. To do our best, to do my best to let that go and to try to move forward with love, with loving myself, with finding myself and connecting with myself. I am so proud of you for doing your best. And I know that you're not perfect, and perfection doesn't exist. And I see the work that you're putting into this healing and transformation. And I see that I'm not taking myself for granted anymore. For years, I took my time for granted. I took myself for granted. I wasn't valuing my alone time. I was almost running away from myself. And now I'm wanting to practice connecting with myself and loving myself and sharing some of this process and journey with the hopes that it might help other folks that might struggle with mental health and feeling connected with ourselves, and maybe struggle with codependency and people pleasing, and it's so difficult to just exist. And sometimes it feels like other people don't understand who we are or how we feel. challenge. And I'm grateful to be on this healing journey. I'm grateful to be able to express my vulnerability and to be creative in healing and transformation with a sex positive framework. I want to invite us to tune in to ourselves, to tune into our body. What is it that we want? How do we want to be? I want to be I want to celebrate my life is not perfect, and I want to celebrate showing up to the best of my ability, healing as much as I can, and being vulnerable with this intention of loving myself courageously. How can I love myself courageously? By honoring myself, by honoring my body, by making love with myself. I want to make love with myself. I want to invite you to make love with yourself. To make the most of our capacity to love ourselves and to tune in to our hearts and our bodies It's now a time to practice loving ourselves. It's now a time. Oh, we're